The regular meeting of the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners for Wednesday, September 24th, 2014. Good morning, everyone. My name is Langdon Neal. I'm chairman of the board. Seated to my left is Commissioner Marisol Hernandez, and to my right is Commissioner Richard Cowan. First item on the agenda is the consideration of the agenda itself. Any additions, deletions? Hearing none, we will proceed to item 3, approval of the minutes of the last regular board meeting, which was August 26th.
Motion to approve.
Moved by member Hernandez.
I was not at that meeting. So
I'll second it. Further discussion? Go ahead.
I have the minutes of August 12th. Did you say something
I
else?
said the 26th. That was your...
I have the 26th in my book.
Sorry, for some reason.
I'll give the commissioner one.
Okay. No,
She's got it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Right. These are.
I'll give you a chance to
No,
carefully
I
review
will.
and peruse.
Thank you.
You've done that already?
I think so.
Okay,
Peruse
good.
them.
So she
Sorry. Motion to approve.
Okay. I'll second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll move to the executive director's report. Mr. Goff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to let the board members know that it looks like the office will be open 7 days a week from now on. We have about 25 additional personnel that we brought in just to do data entry for registrations. Several groups have been bringing in registrations. Their goal was to bring 100,000 in. They've brought in approximately 80 so far. So we're working to try to put everything into the system as soon as possible. There were some issues about duplicates. We're getting a lot of duplicates on. We have a dupe check on the system. Plus every Friday we're running duplicate listings to make sure that we've gotten the duplicates down to nothing. So we're working on that. So I wanted the board members to be aware of that. Another item is we finished printing the con ballot. It had the constitutional questions on it. Those are being delivered to the warehouse. Hopefully tomorrow we should start getting the rest of our actual ballots in. So hopefully next week we can start mailing out absentee ballots. So we're working full speed ahead on that. Another item is Jim Allen has gotten the dates for our pre-lat that we're going to put it in the newspaper. We're going to do our, we have to publish that information about what we're doing out at the warehouse. He will be putting it in the newspaper hopefully this Friday. Like I said, it's been a very, very, very busy time. I will ask the board if they would consider in having a board meeting on the 30th of September. It looks like I'm going to have to increase the number of board meetings that we're having. So if at all possible, I'd like to schedule a board meeting for the 30th.
That's fine with me.
That's fine with me.
I believe that's fine with me.
Okay, thank you.
It is, yes.
Okay, so we'll say 9 o'clock on the 30th.
Very good. Judd Ryan's here from ES&S. We're going to be meeting with him afterwards, after this meeting, just to let you know the progress on the poll book, on the downloads, and everything seemed to be working very well. Staff has told me that I think all the bugs are if not out, or getting out. Am I correct, Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Yeah. I love the way you said yes. Okay.
Well, bugs.
Okay.
I would say
Misword, not bugs. Okay.
Yeah.
Enhancements.
Enhancements.
So if they're bugs, they're scurrying away.
Well, what we've done is we've improved the download time on election morning and added the progress bar that we talked about, so that our belief is that people attempted and then quit last time. So the progress bar, we're hoping will improve the overall numbers that successfully download the early absentee and grace period voters.
In the presentation they gave, we tested different sizes of files for the morning upload. for a small election, a medium-sized election, and then one that was pretty close to a presidential election. So the smallest file uploaded in 40 seconds. It was a very small file. That would be like a special election type file of like 6,000, 10,000 records. The medium-sized one, the type we'd think we'd see this fall, or in the municipal election, uploaded just under 10 minutes. The supersized one for presidential election, 270,000 record changes, that uploaded in 17 minutes. So these are all significant accelerations, however, enhancements compared to the 35 minutes or so that we saw in February or March.
Yeah. Great, good news.
Also, staff has been going to we've been asked by different organizations to come and speak. I've been to several of them. I know Mr. Allen and Laura Grimm went to the League of Women Voters. I think it went very well, Terry.
Everybody seemed to be very happy with it.
Thank you very much. And I have an event today that I couldn't make, so Odell Sterling went to that, and I just got a phone call that it's gone very well, so I'm very happy. So just to let you know, it's been a very, very busy time, Mr. Chairman.
Lance, what was the organization that brought in the 80,000 registrations?
What's the name of the CRELA?
Everyone counts.
Everyone counts. And the one attorney that's been helping or overseeing it is Mike Kreloff, who we all know. So
Yes.
We've been having meetings with him. There have been some issues with bad registration, duplicates, signatures not comparing, but we're taking care of all those.
What was the emphasis of that group?
It's a group that is a umbrella. There are a lot of groups that are funneling everything to this one
All right, that's
organization.
good.
So that's why they're getting the registration. And they are screening them to make sure that they, everything's filled out.
Okay, good. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Goff?
No.
All right. Assistant Executive Director, Ms. Bates.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I also know as far as the absentees, the military ballots went out last week,
Yes.
last Friday. So the state board was given their 45-day report, which makes them very happy.
Excellent.
Judges training starts, I believe, this weekend, Sunday. So we started here at Washington College, and it starts, and phone calls have already started with judges trying to reschedule. So it's a busy time.
Yes.
Deputy registrar classes, this Saturday's the last day we'll go out and do deputy classes, and staff is doubled up with doing classes, so it's been a very busy period as far as deputy registrar training. And everything else seems to be working well. The warehouse is just moving along. They're doing upgrades to the e-poll books, and Judge mentioned they're almost halfway finished. And so they're getting ready for pre-lat, and everything's going great.
Kelly, do you have an estimated number of judge vacancies, Rs and Ds at this point?
I do not at this moment. I haven't seen anything. Do you, Jim?
We're going to get an update tomorrow.
Yeah,
but at the
tomorrow.
most recent-
Monday was the last day, as we call it, for the committeemen.
But we've extended it
We-
1 week.
we did, okay. Yeah.
The last we heard was that we were about 45–50% on the D side, Democratic side. We're only at about 20%, 1,000 to 5,000 positions that we needed on the R side. Again, that was a week and a half ago. So there's been a lot of progress, but I'll mention that.
All right.
And Commissioner, just to let you know that we have been meeting, I've had actual meetings where committeemen have come into my office, and I've stressed the need for these judges, and they are coming into the office, bringing in applications.
Well, I
So
assume
want you
with
to
the
know.
cutoff date having been Monday, that there would be a lot of apps in the process.
Yeah, so we need to get that in the system. In fact, I know that the Judges Department's working later hours and on the weekends, so.
The high school student program and college student program is also working out very well. We're getting many applications from both. MICVA is working tremendously to get the high school student judges apps in.
So the judges' training classes will extend until when?
How long will they go?
Yeah.
They'll go until up to the week before the election. Usually the Saturday before the election is the last judges training we'll do. We just have so many places where we're doing them, different types. Rural Washington is where all the new judges will be trained. We have a new location for the high school student judges, and then we go out into the field and train the judges who have worked in the past, in previous elections. So.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Bateman? Mr. Allen?
On the judge's question, we're advertising for the first time with Illinois Review. It's an online conservative publication trying to reach out to Republican voters. We interviewed with WIND. We're also advertising in Red Eye with, we brought out the old Tom Leach, You Be the Judge ad, and
Wow.
resurrected that. And we haven't had to use it in 8 years.
I was going to say, forgot about that one.
So, military, Kelly touched on military overseas voters. You have in the materials I just gave you some of the glowing praise that we received from voters. Jeff Federke and John Powell and the entire team over there. These voters were thrilled because we had reached out to them before, and when they had it on their to-do list, some of them commented, I was just getting ready to comment or reach out to you, and now here's my ballot in my email box. So we received a lot of very happy comments from voters. Also, the system went off without a hitch. It gets easier and easier each election that we work with another Everyone Counts, another organization that's the contractor that provides that online ballot marking system. We met with the city on language assistance. They were interested in how we do what we do because they're looking to take some of what the election board does and apply it to the 311 center. Lance mentioned Laura Grimm helped me out a great time with the League of Women Voters, great presentation. They really liked the multicolored calendar, and we went through that and talked about all the changes coming. Speaking of the changes that are coming, we think we've managed to come up with a way to put the election calendar on a business card. So this is the Fast Fact card.
Oh, my God.
This was what I wanted you to see if you could do this.
What we did is we split it up into registration and then ways to vote so that you give all your grace period options right there under register to vote. So you see it's broken up like a calendar through October 7th. These are your options. Then October 8th through 19th. These are, you have to come to 69 West Washington. Then the early voting sites. And finally, the 5 same-day sites from November 2nd through November 4th. So we're starting production on these in English, Spanish, and Korean, Chinese, Hindi, Polish. What have I left out, Karen? Oh, and Gujarati, Urdu, and those are all coming out soon.
Very nice.
Excellent.
Very nice. Great
It's,
work.
yeah, very clear. So, good.
Thank you. We have new signage and new ads that are appearing now to promote online registration. We're now up over 4,300 online registrations since that system went live. We've got the website sample ballots up. We talked about the ES&S demonstration that was very successful. We also had a big staff meeting with officials from Milwaukee, Wisconsin about same-day registration. They have about 30 years plus experience with this. So we were getting an idea from them, and we'll have a report on that to you because in their presidential years, they have upward of 20% of their ballots cast with same-day registration, and in different neighborhoods, the number can be 50%.
Really?
So you have to, right, because it's become so much part of the voting culture, registering during the year is no longer done. It's done to a small degree, but people know that they have that safety net on election day. So in certain neighborhoods, it's only 5%, but in certain neighborhoods, it's 50% of all the voters, because they moved in the last year or so. So it's going to present a challenge if we ever get there, but it was very educational, all the information laid away.
Was it helpful in how to deal with lines, if those lines need to be developed?
I think we left that meeting both informed and a little frightened, because we're going to need some bigger rooms. And it was instructive. What they have in Milwaukee and what this board has discussed is, and in all of Wisconsin, is a chief inspector, basically a top judge in our vernacular. And that's the person they count on to be not only over the voting equipment and checking in the voters, but also kind of a deputy registrar definitely on the scene. So they have one of those for each. They call them wards, we call them precincts. That's a key difference, that if the legislature is interested in this, we almost want to look at the possibility of a PPA type of super judge at each site to try to make sure that it's manageable. I don't know how palatable that would be to the legislature, or for that matter, the commissioners here, but that's what they do there to make this work.
What kind of technology do they have?
It's all on paper. They
That's
do not
funny.
use an electronic poll book. They were kind of jealous of us on that front.
Yeah.
None of it is provisional. All of it is counted. But they find very few instances where there are people voting both at their old precinct and their new precinct, trying to gig the system.
So they have 50% people are filling out
In certain precincts.
registration forms.
In certain precincts,
Wow.
because in the areas where there's the most mobility, where people have moved, the highest concentrations of renters, so college areas and super low income areas, they said, on the north side of Milwaukee, have super high numbers of same-day registration.
Interesting.
And lastly, Middlesex County, Virginia met with us last week, teleconference. They were interested in finding out what Chicago does on wireless transmissions, because they want to start looking into that. They have issues with their poll workers having to commute to a different municipal office instead of a receiving station. They don't get results for hours on it. So that's it.
All righty. Any other questions for Mr. Allen? All right, we'll move to old business. Infrastructure projects, changes in election administration. This is the wrong time of year to talk about that. Don't bring any new ideas from October until May. Let that be the order
Very
of the
good.
board.
If my board members will listen to that,
Yes,
we're in good shape.
no new ideas.
Okay, thank you.
Electronic poll books, you gave us an update on the enhancements and refinements.
Well, everybody was saying with that with kind of a smile, if important new projects come along, the board and the staff are always open to consider those.
Thank you.
Always,
Mr. Cowan.
always,
I had a
Commissioner
tongue in cheek, so thank you for, of course we have an open mind. Maybe you have another memo you want to present, a list of about 25 things.
It's been cut down to 26 pages.
I know you've had some extra time on your hands, so, okay. All right, other than what's on Commissioner Cowan's list of ideas, we'll hold on many new ideas here. Anything else on electric poll books, Judd? I mean, we kind of covered it, right? Okay. Voting equipment. Paige, good morning.
Morning.
Anything for us today?
Well, we are about to finalize the touchscreen ballot. My staff has been proving the last week, and so we're very nearly finished.
Great.
We are ready for pre-let and have resources in place.
Excellent, excellent.
Paige, just a question looking ahead to 2015 and maybe even beyond. What's the physical status of our equipment? Are we having, or Lance,
Yes.
are we running into any problems with parts wearing out? obsolescence, things like that? Do we have spares? Is there any short-term concern, or are we
We have-
pretty safe through at least 2015?
Yes, we've met with Paige and the warehouse staff. We have enough equipment for backup. We reduced several hundred precincts, so we're going to use those. We're going to cannibalize that. We've also reached out to a couple of other places looking for additional parts, but I think we'll be all right through the April elections.
Okay.
All righty. We'll move to legislation. Mr. Scanlon, anything for us today?
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
All righty.
Jim, I would like to raise a question here or under your legal report, or maybe for the next meeting. You know, the change in the law that the board, in connection with electoral board hearings, has to approve individual subpoenas. Any thought as to how we can expedite that process, other than having to be on call every day when some hearing officer says somebody wants a subpoena? I mean, just thinking ahead, we don't have to discuss that today, but it seems to me that it would be very inefficient if somehow each time a subpoena is requested during the course of a hearing, we have to call a meeting with issues of notice and compliance with the Open Meetings Act and all of those things.
Well, two things. First of all, I have circulated for your review a draft, early draft rules of procedure for the Electoral Board, and includes some proposals for the approval of subpoenas under the new statute. Secondly, my thought was that just to run it in conjunction with Electoral Board meetings, so that every Electoral Board meeting, there would be a part of the meeting dedicated just to consideration and approval of subpoena request. Now, it may require that the board meet more often in order to stay on top of subpoena request, and it's probably going to be more true toward the beginning than the end. So we may want to run Electoral Board meetings at least once a week, if not twice a week, just to move subpoenas along. It will also give the board an opportunity to stay on top of decisions that may be ready for consideration and approval by the board. But it's going to require more time on the part of the commissioners. There's no question about it. So I think your schedule anticipate the first meeting of the Electoral Board is going to be on December 8th.
December what?
December 8th.
8th.
And I think that going forward, it's going to be very intense, right through the holidays. And as I said, we probably need to meet at least once a week, which I think we've tried to do in the past. We may have to move it to twice a week.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it holding up hearings, and
Yes.
it's very problematic in terms of, getting decisions out.
It has the potential to slow things down. There's no question about that. I'm not a big fan, but
The U.S. Supreme Court delegates certain decision-making authority to justices from each circuit, or supervising each circuit. Can the board provide that any one of the three commissioners is authorized to approve a subpoena?
I don't believe so. I don't think that was the intent. I think the intent was to incorporate in the statutes a process that's already been in place at the State Board of Elections, where the board meet and they approve all subpoena requests. There's no delegation involved. There is, and what I've proposed is on each individual case, approval of certain categories. So in an individual case, if the issue deals with circulators, that the board could approve the issuance of subpoenas with regard to circulators in that case, and it would allow then the hearing officer to approve riders to the subpoena, which would identify specific individuals. But I think that's sort of a minimal level of delegation authority, and I hope that's going to pass the test under the statute. Well, I guess we'll find out soon enough,
But I could see these hearings going beyond, into the first or the second week of January because of this delay.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
depending on how many we have. but-
right, and I think December 8th is going to be the start date. We always try to get, if not 99% of the cases done within 30 days, if not all of them. This has the potential to slow it down a little bit. Plus, I hate to say it, but I mean, the feedback that I'm getting from some of the members of the election law bar is that there's going to be quite a few objections filed. And perhaps even more than we had 4 years ago.
Well, I think we're going to have, it appears that there's a possibility we'll have more candidates.
More
So
candidates,
that's-
more objections, yes, yes. So that means that this board's going to be very, very busy, and we have to deal with subpoenas on top of everything else. It's going to be, it's going to be a considerable workload. So just to warn you, clear your schedules for December and January, because it's going to be intense.
Okay. All righty. Anything else, Mr. Scanlon? We'll move to your legal report. Anything else?
Well, I just wanted to give a quick update on litigation. We have 4 cases that were filed in the courts. In one case involving the board, it's a local option case involving a single precinct in Ward 27, Precinct 18. And the circuit court ruled that the local option question would be off the ballot. There's been an appeal. The appellate court has set a briefing schedule. The last brief is due September 29th. Hopefully we'll have a decision quickly thereafter. But again, that just involves one precinct. There is another case, the State Board of Elections issued a decision involving the 29th Representative District, which includes the City of Chicago. That's going to be heard by the Circuit Court on September 30th, next Tuesday. The State Board had also issued decisions in 2 other cases involving candidates at the state level, statewide level. The Green Party, which they ruled off the ballot, and the Circuit Court affirmed that decision. Those candidates remain off the ballot. No word yet of an appeal. And with regard to the Libertarian Party, the State Board ruled the candidates on the ballot, and the Circuit Court down in Sangamon County affirmed the State Board of Elections decision on that case. So those candidates will remain on the ballot. And again, no word as far as any possible appeal. So that's where we are right now with litigation.
And we are pretty.
All righty. I don't think there's any new business to come before the board. So we'll move to the financial report. In your board book are a list of vouchers for the City of Chicago dated September 24th, 2014, number 14-09, totaling $301,695.17. 301,695.17. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Moved by Commissioner Cowan.
Second?
Seconded by Commissioner Hernandez. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Also in your book is a listing of vouchers for the County of Cook, dated 9/24/14, voucher number 14-10, totaling $129,827.44. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Cowan. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That'll be the order. Public comment section. Anything else for us today, Terry?
No, what I plan to do is thank you for giving us a really good meeting.
Excellent, excellent, thank you. Anyone else? No one else? Okay. Do we have a need for an executive session today?
We do, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
To discuss personnel matters.
All righty. I'll accept a motion to recess into executive session to discuss personnel matters. We'll return into open session to approve any matters that requires a vote in open session. Otherwise, the meeting would be concluded. So, is there a motion?
Motion?
Can I also just amend that to include personnel and pending litigation?
Personnel and pending litigation. Oh, is that part of your motion, Commissioner?
Yes, motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll move into executive session to discuss personnel and pending or potential litigation.